Hello, this is Jim Daniell. Thank you for taking a moment to discuss digital transformation for nonprofits in the time of the pandemic. This is with our special guest, Pietro Galli, the Chief Information Officer of Norwegian Refugee Council. Now, this is the loop of shock put together by my friend Jean-Louis Ecochard, which discusses the different pathways as we move forward. And for many of us, cutting and ducking, just trying to freeze where we are, or in some cases, peace with honor, making drastic cuts to our programs is what we're stuck with. But for the lucky few of us who are using chaos and change as a way to reimagine our future, there is a new normal, and it relies heavily on digital business transformation. Sadly, this has been thrust upon us. It was coming very, very slowly from the top and from maybe boards, but suddenly we're working in new digital and virtual ways that we never imagined before COVID-19. So here we are. What are we going to do about it? This is the third of three sessions I delivered. The first was to discuss a part of American Heart Association, the Institute for Precision Medicine, with Janet Hall. This was presented at the Nonprofit Alliance Leadership Summit last fall in Tucson. Now, earlier this year, we also then reviewed how using internal processes for increased resilience and adaptability was the focus of the work at HIAS with CIO Rui Lopes to present. And that was in the first of these two sessions. And this is the second of the Roy Solutions, the third of a series on, well, how might we take digital technologies and digital business processes and reimagine our relationship with our donors and our beneficiaries. This is that intimacy was the key. In the session, Pietro did a wonderful job discussing the breadth and depth of all of NRC's programming and then zeroed in specifically on their refugee assistance work, how that work was going on in places like Syria, Yemen, Ukraine, and Venezuela. And then more importantly, he pivoted to then describe how the work that was done was made applicable and helped them in the time of the pandemic. Let's hear it directly from Pietro, shall we?
So if we look at the situation in early 2020, after 2 years of digital transformation journey, funding, higher maturity, we have a fully dedicated digital transformation team at NRC. They sit in Berlin. We have a group of 6 people that are fully dedicated and fully staffed and fully paid for by NRC. We include UX design leads, product leads, developers. We have annual funding both from institutional donors, but also from corporate and our own admin money. And we're working on a number of products.
What happened when COVID hit your team?
So when COVID hit, and because of our funding mechanism, there was a big question about what is the impact of the pandemic on our ability to deliver services and to run projects, because this affects our bottom line as well and our ability to pay for these teams. And so we quickly pivoted the D team, or the digital transformation team, for 6 weeks to create an online web form for all our field offices to basically give weekly updates on access, on program adaptation, and on donor compliance on every project and every area, on every core competency. And now, and then we integrated this with financial data coming from our ERP system, and we are showing insights. This is just a snapshot of week-to-week changes, and then the 3 levels of what we measure.
So describe agility then in this new world.
And the D team usually comes to the table with this and says, you know, we're not necessarily going to build you a car and wait for 2 years, or make you wait for 2 years until you get a car and you can't move anywhere. But we'll start with a skateboard and iterate and get you hopefully to the sports car that you really want. I would go so far, and after the COVID experience, I would cross out the car on the bottom line and say that, you know, we're in the motorcycle business now, and we stick to that, and we don't promise cars because it just takes too long, and maybe we're shifting. The reality is shifting too quick to even get to the car.
Together, we are moving beyond that initial shock period. We're trying out new ways of working, and there's no one set pathway forward. So this is more about changing culture and mindset. It means taking a small group and saying we can do this fast and quickly. And remember and always be cognizant of the fact that while the change can be fast for a team, it's slow for the organization. This came up in every single presentation. The system-wide change is hard, but when you do it right and you build these skills in one part of your organization, they can be reused and repurposed very quickly. Digital transformation, digital business skills, or DX skills, as they're called, are very, very powerful. But ultimately, it's about people and process. It's not about the tech. Now, finding out more about this, here we go. The kind of cycle that Pietro was talking about, this 2.5-day workshop, is often a kickoff. It's an introduction to that. It has ups and downs. The most important thing you need to do in a typical design thinking workshop is bring the right people to the table, work hard on a selection of challenges, and then after it, follow up with rapid iteration. Interested in finding out more about digital business transformation, you want to find out more about what was discussed on this webinar, we're happy to provide the full link. We also have digital assessment tools available. But most importantly, realize this is the time to think about making these small investments, and they're critical, they're strategic, and they can be done virtually. So on behalf of myself, Jim Daniell from Revol, and Pietro Galli, thank you, Pietro. And also thank you for listening to this, a wonderful 6 minutes. Take care. Bye-bye.